Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavad-gita, Chapter 5, Karma Yoga, Action and Krishna Consciousness, text number 21. Vaya sparshesh vasatmat, vaya sparshesh vasaktatma, vindat yatmini yatsukham, sabrama yoga yuktatma, sukham akshayam ashnute. Vaya sparshesh vasaktatma, vindat yatmini yatsukham, sabrama yoga yuktatma, sukham akshayam ashnute. Ashes vasaktatma, vindat yatmini yatsukham, sabrama yoga yuktatma, sukham akshayam ashnute. Vaya sparshesh vasaktatma, vindat yatmini yatsukham, sabrama yoga yuktatma, sukham akshayam ashnute. Ladies. Vaya sparshesh vasaktatma, vindat yatmini yatsukham, sabrama yoga yuktatma, sukham akshayam ashnute. Vaya sparshesh shu Vaya sparshesh an external sense pleasure. Asaktatma, one who is not attached. Vindati, enjoys. Atmani, in the self. Yat, that which. Sukham, happiness. Saha, he. Brahma Yoga, by concentration in Brahman. Yukta Atma, self-connected. Sukham, happiness. Akshayam, unlimited. Ashnute, enjoys. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Such a liberated person is not attracted to material sense pleasure, but is always entranced, enjoying the pleasure within. In this way, the self-realized person enjoys unlimited happiness, for he concentrates on the Supreme. Please repeat. Such a liberated person is not attracted to material sense pleasure, but is always entranced, enjoying the pleasure within. In this way, the self-realized person enjoys unlimited happiness, for he concentrates on the Supreme. Purport: Sri Jamunacharya, a great devotee in Krishna consciousness, said, Yadavadi mama chekta Krishna padara vinde, nava navarasa daman yud yatam rantim asit, tadavadi vatanari sangame smaryamane, bhavati mukha vikara shustu nishtivanam cha. Since I've been engaged in the transit loving service of Krishna, realizing every new pleasure in him, whenever I think of sex pleasure, I spit at the thought, and my lips curl with distaste. A person in Brahma Yoga or Krishna consciousness is so absorbed in the loving service of the Lord that he loses his taste for material sense pleasure altogether. The highest pleasure in terms of matter is sex pleasure. The whole world is moving under its spell, and a materialist cannot work at all without this motivation. Such a person engaged in Krishna consciousness can work with greater vigor without sex pleasure, which he avoids. That is a test in spiritual realization. Spiritual realization and sex pleasure go ill together. A Krishna conscious person is not attracted to any kind of sense pleasure due to his being a liberated soul. Vayasparsheva saktama vindat yatmini yatsukam sabrahma yoga yuktatma sukhamaksham ashnute. Such a liberated person is not attracted to material sense pleasure, but is always entranced, enjoying the pleasure within. This way, the self-realized person enjoys unlimited happiness, for he concentrates on the Supreme. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutaya Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Vacharane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskatyade Satarane. Prabhupada writes in the Krishna book, the art of Krishna consciousness is the art of focusing one's attention and then giving one's love to Krishna. So in this chapter, focusing one's attention begins from the very point where we, at least in this chapter, because Arjuna asks in the very beginning, Sannyasastu mahabaho tattvam ichami dveditum Tyagasya cha rishikesha pritak. Probably got that one wrong. Arjuna vacha sannyasya tu mahabaho. No. Sannyasam karmanam Krishna punya yoga trisam sasi yaschaya etaya ekam tamme brui sanishchitam. Arjuna said to Krishna, first of all, you asked me to renounce work, then you asked me to work in devotion. Of the two, which is the better? More beneficial. So generally speaking, everyone is bothered by the material existence. And therefore, after trying to enjoy the material world, then one usually renounces. Try to renounce, called Bhoga Tyaga. Everyone is trying to enjoy, and when one gets frustrated, then one renounces. And then after renouncing for some time, one feels himself empowered to enjoy again. And then he tries to enjoy and gets frustrated and renounce. So that's our history. We're going from renunciation to enjoyment, from enjoyment to renunciation, etc. Just like a dog comes to the table to get something to eat, and its master takes a newspaper and whacks it. The dog runs away. And then 5 minutes later, he's renounced for 5 seconds. Then 5 minutes later, he comes back to the table to try to get something to eat, and whack! He runs away again. So that's material life. We're always coming to the table looking for something to eat, and then Maya is always whacking us. Whack! The one running away. So this is since time immemorial. So it says an intelligent person, he learns by hearing. Obviously we haven't learned by hearing very much. A less intelligent person learns by experience. Obviously, although we've been here for trillions of lifetimes of Brahma, it's still not enough experience for us. And then a person doesn't have any intelligence, they don't learn. So what is the hope? Well, the only hope is to chant Hare Krishna and bypass the whole learning experience. Because material nature, Daiviyesha Gunamayi, Mama Maya Dharatya, Maya Mama Evaye Prapadente, Maya Metan Tarantite. The material nature is very difficult to overcome. It seems all very real to us because the actual reality we're not experiencing. We're experiencing the dreamlike material existence that Krishna has created for us. due to our past deeds, activities. And we take it very, very seriously. Because that's all we have to take. We think there's nothing more than that. When we hear about the glories of hearing about Krishna, about how the devotees are completely in ecstasy, overwhelmed with bliss and love, we think, well, that's nice. And then we go on. Therefore, Maharaj Rishabdev says, Nanyam deha bhajam riloke, kastan kaman arhate vidbujanye, tapo divyam putraka yena sattvam, shudyat tasmai brahma sokyam tunantam. Nanya deha deho bhajam riloke. So in this world, everyone is trying to enjoy, principally like the hogs and the dogs. Nanyam dehe bhajam riloke, kastan karman arhate, vid bhujan ye, like the hogs that eat stool. So we're always trying to enjoy, somehow or another, sense gratification, which is a kind of enjoyment. Otherwise, no one would stay in the material world since time immemorial if there wasn't something here. But it's not really much different from what the animals are trying to enjoy. It's not a whole lot. The quality, when the hog eats stool, it's not thinking this is disgusting. I wish I could get some pizza or an ice cream, but it's not available for hogs, so I got to settle for this. No, he's actually relishing every bite he's taking. For him, it's delicious. Endless varieties. So we can't conceive of that. It seems horrible to us. But then if you offer the hog, well, he probably will eat everything. But he'd look at pizza and think, how these people are so mad after pizza? Maybe if I could put a little stool on it, it would make it taste better. Well, that's his mentality. We can't conceive of it, but then he can't conceive of our mentality. As a matter of fact, we can't conceive of the mentality of anyone else except for our own mentality, practically speaking. It's very hard to be sympathetic or apathetic with anyone except for ourselves and our particular modes of nature we're under. But Maharaj Rishabdev said, Tapo divyam. And in this age, of course, the austerity is just trying to focus the mind on Krishna. That's the big austerity. The mind is, Arjuna said, Krishna said, yo yam yogas tvaya prokta, samyena madhusudana, etasyaham napashami chanchalevasitim saram, chanchalam himanat Krishna, pramati balavadridam, tasyaham nigraham manye, vayor iva saduskritam. Krishna just explained the yoga system. If you think bhakti yoga is difficult, we'll try to go to a jungle. Imagine you're in the jungle. And there's flies all around, they're biting you, mosquitoes, snakes shivering around, tigers roaring, and you're trying to concentrate your mind on meditation. If you get hungry, you have to find some creepers to eat, or maybe some roots or something, and you got to sit there and meditate. So it's a very difficult process. It takes lifetimes. And who's serious enough to do it even for one lifetime, even part of a lifetime? Could you imagine for the Sunday feast, the exercise, we go into the Tivoli forest. We sit there during the summer and the bugs are biting us, and we try to meditate on Krishna. And for the Sunday feast, someone picks some grass and feeds it to us. We wouldn't probably have very much attendance after some time. someone gives a lecture. Anyhow, it's not a very practical yoga system for this age. Of course, in previous ages, there were probably, at least in Satya Yuga, the mosquitoes didn't bite so much, at least. The atmosphere was such, the temperature was nice, the water was pure, even the roots and the leaves and everything else, probably the fruits on the tree were nourishing. But in this age, it's not possible. The only way we can actually control the mind, as Krishna says, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha asamshayam mahabaho manodura nigraham chalam avyasena tu kuntiya vairagena chagriyate. Arjuna said that the mind is very difficult to control. It's more difficult than trying to control the wind. So Krishna says, asamshayam mahabaho. Yes, he agrees. It's very difficult to control the restless mind. But it's possible by suitable practice and by detachment. For that reason, we have sadhana bhakti. We can at least try to put our minds on something superior than material existence. Unfortunately, for the majority of people in Kali Yuga, the Tevidu Swartakatim Hi Vishnu, they don't know that the goal of life is to reach Krishna. And that if they endeavor in Krishna consciousness, then their lives are actually becoming successful. And if they're getting disturbed by material existence, which everyone in material existence in Kali Yuga gets disturbed to one degree or another, it's for their benefit. Kali Yuga is not a bad yuga because it shows one that even you try to satisfy your mind and your senses, they'll never be satisfied. There's only suffering here. And the more one tries to do that, the more suffering there is. Luckily, in Kali Yuga, still people are somewhat regulated in their lives. They're not completely animalistic, the majority of the people. And therefore, there's some sanity enough that they can understand Krishna consciousness and adopt Krishna consciousness. And eventually, adopting Krishna consciousness means to adopt the principles by which we fix the mind upon Krishna. Because only when the mind is fixed upon Krishna can we actually experience something beyond the distress of material existence. Therefore, Nanyam Deho Deha Bhajam Riloke Kastan Kaman Arhate Vid Bujam Ye Tapo Dibyam. Divine austerity, not just ordinary austerity, austerity that can help us think about Krishna. As the universes are unlimited, as the spiritual sky is unlimited, so Krishna is also equally unlimited, more unlimited, unlimitedly full of love, and his body is made of Satchitananda Vigraha, pure bliss, pure consciousness forever. Nothing bad in Krishna, only bliss, knowledge, love, consciousness. Therefore, if one is fortunate even to try a little bit to fix the mind upon Krishna and just think about how covered our minds are, that although Krishna is unlimitedly blissful, only a little bit of that sunlight seeps into our covered existence. But if one keeps on trying and trying, then gradually the coverings will be removed, and then when the sunlight will shine into our heart, and then we'll realize our good fortune. At least having the opportunity to become Krishna conscious. Tapo Divyam, so that tapo, that sacrifice has been made very simple in Kali Yuga. The chanting of Hare Krišna, and to help the chanting, because the chanting is sufficient. Then there's the deity worship, there's the Bhagavatam, Bhagavad-gita, there's the service of making the atmosphere spiritual and serving the devotees. And it culminates that when we chant Hare Krišna, then gradually the coverings of our consciousness will go away, and then we'll actually meet Krishna personally and fall in love with Krishna, who's the real object of love, and then our lives will be actually glorious. Tapo divyam putraka yena sattva shudyad tasmai ramasokyam Pranantam. This is Brahma. So the happiness of associating with Krishna goes on forever and always gets more and more glorious, more and more exciting, more and more enjoyable. Every time Rati in the spiritual world wakes up to go and serve Srimati Radharani, it's like a new day. It's not like I've done this before. I've been working like this since it's so long, I need a break. Give me a break. I think I'm just going to sleep in today and let some other manjari take over and serve Srimati Radharani. No, every day is a completely new day. It's like the first time she's serving Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani is looking forward to meet Krishna and serve him. Like it's like the first time. Every day is nitya nava 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 yovana. It's completely new and fresh. And here in the material world, everything becomes tiresome after some time. And therefore we have to renounce, get it off our mind. And then we become attracted again to try to enjoy again. Although we know it didn't work the last time, still we're determined. Maybe it's going to work this time. That's called illusion. And everyone is under illusion, but that illusion can be broken when we enter into the world where everything is ever new and fresh and ever more tasty, as it says. Shriya Kanta Kanta Parama Purusham Kalpataravo Druma Bhumis Chintamani Ganamayi Tayam Amritam. That Shriya means the beautiful damsels of Braj. Shriya Kanta, their lover is Krishna, Kanta. Shriya Kanta, Kanta, Parama Purusha, and he's the supreme, enjoyable personality. He's always full of enthusiasm and love and bliss for all his devotees. It never dwindles or decreases, always increasing. Shriya Kanta, Kanta, Kalpataru. And the trees there, they give all varieties of whatever you want from the tree, the Kalpavriksha tree. But the devotees, they just want some fruits and flowers to offer to Krishna with love. They don't go to the tree and say, can you give me a new Mac computer with a big memory? No, they don't need any of those things there because their memory is perfect. Their memory is always in bliss, remembering the supreme object of love, Krishna. So they don't need any memory. There's no meetings there to solve problems. There's only meetings there every morning. Vrinda Devi meets with Purnamasi, and they plan out the daily activities of Radha and Krishna, their pastimes. And then they send the parrots to form the Braj forest, how to decorate itself with the pastimes of the day. That's the only meetings they have, divine pastimes. But that's the night they have, and everyone is exciting to go to the meeting because the pastimes are all of transcendental bliss and love. So there's no arguments at the meetings. And Shriya Kanta Kanta Kalpataruvo, and the desire trees, they take part in the transcendental pastimes of Radha and Krishna. They are experiencing the bliss that the divine couple and their associates are experiencing. They don't have to do very much. They just blossom with fruits and flowers for the pastimes. And Druma Bhumis Chintamani, and the ground is all Chintamani. It's blissful. In the winter, it's warm, the ground. So the gopis and the cowherd boys and everyone, they don't need shoes because the ground is perfect temperature. And in the summer, it's cooling. You don't need an air conditioner. You don't need anything. You don't need, and then the water is just like nectar. You don't have to buy bottled water there, test whether it has any chemicals in it, because it's pure bliss, the water. And the air is bliss. Every breath you take, you become blissful. And there, everything is organic, pure, all the fruits and flowers, everything is unbelievably tasteful, and the aroma is like of pure bhakti. The flowers are simply emanating pure love. Therefore, even more valuable than the jewels are the flowers. The jewels are also emanating love, but the flowers have even more taste, more divine smell than even the jewels have. So Krishna likes to be decorated with flowers rather than jewels there. And every day, even at night, when you're not supposed to eat, they have a big picnic. But no one ever gets indigestion. And when they go to sleep, they simply dream of Radha and Krishna's pastimes. So they're never really asleep. They're just always awake in pure love, even when they're sleeping. They're enjoying pastimes. Shriya Kanta Kanta Parama Purusha Kalpaturu Rivo Truma Bhumis Chintamani Gayamayi Tamyam Amritam. The toyam, the water is amritam. It's pure nectar. Gata Ganta Shriya Kanta Kanta Parama Purusha Kalpaturu Rivo Truma Bhumis Chintamani Gayamayi Tamyam Amritam. Gata Ganam Natyam Gamanam Api Vamsi Vasi. And when people are walking there, they don't exactly walk. Their walking is like dancing. So you can just imagine what they're dancing like, if their walking is like dancing. And their talking is not exactly talking, it's like singing. So if their talking is like singing, just try to imagine what their singing is like. And the flute is the favorite attendant. When Krishna plays on his flute, it simply reveals the flute, the sound of the music, is simply the sound of divine love, Krishna's divine love coming from the flute. So it's not just ordinary sound, it's divine nectar of love. And that world is known to only a few people, self-realized souls in this world. So we have an opportunity to enter into that divine realm if we choose to do so. But the po divyam putraka, as it says, you have to be willing to give up this material drama that goes on. At least not to get too much caught up in it, to take it so seriously that it acts as an impediment for the actual opportunity to enter into our real life. As the fact that we're eternal is real, so the divine realm is also just as real as the fact that we're eternal. So there's an eternal realm, and we can go there if we want to. Otherwise, good luck, especially in Kali Yuga. Could you imagine you have a happy family life here, everything's perfect, and then you're born again, even if you're born in a human form of life, and things are bad now, and everything gets worse, except for the Hare Krišna movement. Maybe you're born in the Hare Krišna movement, and therefore the Hare Krišna movement has become accepted as the leaders of the society. That would be nice. And in the presidential palace, the only thing they do is have kirtan and distribute prasadam and do deity worship. That would be nice. But anyhow, don't count on it. For now, better to try to take advantage, although things in Kali Yuga are falling apart, so that eventually people can take shelter of Gaur Nitai and the Panchatattva. That's why things go on. They get the results of their work, just to encourage them to take shelter of the Panchatattva. And here we are, we're actually in front of the Panchatattva. So how much mercy we're actually, how much fortunate we are. So I'll stop there. Thank you. Any questions or comments? Yes.
How to develop these right desires? Because sometimes it's some bad desires still there.
Well, that's good if it's only sometimes. You're doing quite well. How to do it? That's sadhana bhakti. In other words, something has to capture our intelligence so that we become determined to try to put our mind as much best we can on Krishna. So that's why we have sadhana bhakti, and we have to understand the goal of sadhana bhakti is to focus the mind on Krishna. Try to understand Krishna, because Krishna there's no limit. All this material energy, so-called material energy, is Krishna's energy, and therefore we'll be encouraged to utilize it in His service. Even in kirtan, we're utilizing our tongue by chanting His name. We're using our ears by hearing the devotees and ourselves chant. We're utilizing our eyes to see the deities. So that way we're engaging our senses in Krishna's service. And then hopefully we can engage our mind. Especially in just try to hear and then try to feel Krishna's presence in His name. Because the mind goes from thinking to feeling, and then we'll become more enthusiastic to will to do service for Krishna. Without hearing and without feeling what we're hearing, without experiencing something, then there won't be any will to do service, and without doing service, then there won't be any impetus to hear. So we have to learn how to hear and then experience what we're hearing. And then if we experience what we're hearing, then we'll will to do more service, because that will help us hear better. So there's a progress for that. No, the process that Prabhupada gave us is perfect. Sadhana bhakti, and then try to utilize our energies for spreading Krishna consciousness the best we can. And that's a perfect combination. We don't need anything else. If you have an ocean of nectar, you don't have to add anything to make it taste better. Anything else? It's really nice whenever I ask for questions, you can actually hear the clock. The second hand, everything becomes so silent. It's probably the most peaceful time of the day when you ask for questions. Can you hear the clock? Okay. Thank you very much. Khwala Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavad-gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande.